Hello, and welcome back to episode 6 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rape of Tolkien. And I'm happy to say that this episode was the absolute best of the bunch, filled with tense drama, exciting battles, and a heaping dose of resolution. Now, before we start, let's try this one more time. I'm going to do a hard reset. Once again, I'm going to come at this as a blissfully ignorant television viewer. No comparisons to written works or Peter Jackson's far superior movies. A production that makes this effort look even more unprofessional than a play put on by retarded first graders. I will be fair and balanced in my critique of this episode. For realsies this time. So let's begin with an overview. Adar rallies his children and leads them to the old watchtower to retrieve the hilt. Elfie traps them inside and wreaks some nifty havoc. Meanwhile, the refugees... That's not me, by the way. That's Amazon. See? The refugees return to Filthtown to prepare for the coming assault. They're victorious in battle only to find it was the Filthtownian defectors that they'd slaughtered. The real enemy arrives and the remaining Filthtownians retreat to the tavern. Meanwhile, on the Númenórean ship, Isildur goes to play with some feces and meets Galadriel. The sunrise is showing to all the lands of the south. Meanwhile, the superior orc army forces their way in. Adar really wants that hilt, and just as Bronwyn is to be killed, Theo hands it over. Just as all is lost, they
look to my coming at first light on the 5th day.
And retreated to the right of the Númenóreans as they come to the rescue. But alas, Adar has the hilt. Galadriel and Halliburton write him down and put paid to his nefarious tomfoolery. But Adar has already sent the mayor of Filthtown out to ye olde watchy towery on a secret mission. Waldred uses the scary sword as a key that sets events in motion to erupt a big-ass and somewhat familiar volcano. The explosion fires debris into Filthtown on a path of destruction. As the pyroclastic flow bears down, we watch in horror, as the burning cloud kills every man, woman, homo, and child on Earth, and the show is over. The final episode of Amazon's generic fantasy epic comes to a close as we heave our collective orgasms. First off, there's no chance of forgetting a storyline here, considering this episode is one story. Well, technically it's two, but the second story only lasts 4 minutes and 42 seconds before being melded into the main story. So let's begin. What did I like in this episode? Well, I liked Elfie's trap. It's incredibly convenient, but at least it's more than what we're used to getting in this series, which is nothing. Yeah, fuck that old watchtower. I like the visual of the ships on the ocean, all 3 seconds of it. I like finding out that Isildur's mother and Ted Pharaoh's wife died by drowning. A society of seafaring peoples living on an island and the bitch couldn't swim. What a fucking loser. I like this map. I like that Elfie not only slipped this slut some tongue, but also squeezed in at least 3 digits. I like the anticipation of hoping that these two stories might finally come together and that something, for the love of God, just might happen. I like the eventual use of gore. It was pandering and desperate, but at least it was there. I liked how this orc just plays handball with Elfie in an action set piece written by women who've never once heard the old axiom, less is more. I liked that Filthtown just killed the other half of Filthtown, that they've unknowingly slaughtered their own. Brothers, sisters, fathers, sons is a beautiful demoralizing tactic on Adar's part. I like that all of the orcs have this accent.
Don't we take 'em in for nothing? Had to pay the toll.
Not a one of them ever says,
"Ooh, I dare say, thou shalt fall before the steel of my blade." Ooh.
No, they all go,
"Right, I'm gonna hack off your throat and get me some nibbles."
Isn't this offensive to the people with this accent? Kind of like Hollywood portraying every foolish, bubbling retard as a hillbilly? Who cares? Oh, I love the elation of the Númenóreans finally riding into battle. All 3 seconds of it. I like how the orcs very slowly kill the Filthtownians. I like Halliburton. Despite his irritating model-turned-actor looks, he's finally won me over. No homo. And I think it's obvious at this point that I really like Morphin Clark. That's all. Just like her. I like this stunt guy's death slide. No flailing, no screaming. He just slides down dead. Whee! Look at him go. What I like most were the payoffs to the various setups. I'm not talking about how logical or even interesting they might have been. Mostly it's the fact that these girls even understood the concept of setup and payoff that was most impressive. The trench and the tunnels, the hilt and the keyhole, and how they all work together. Whatever the setup and payoff was supposed to be with these seeds. Bronwyn says back in episode 1...
They crush the petals to form a salve.
She never says they're flammable, right? So it can't be that. Is it because the flower petals are used as a salve? Okay, so maybe there's no setup here. Maybe I'm just full of shit. Adar explaining Sauron's torture keep from episode 1. I like the introduction of Halliburton to the people of Filthtown as their king. It was the same feeling you get when you successfully fit a piece into a jigsaw puzzle. A small victory, sure, but a victory nonetheless. I like the eruption of Mount Doom for the very same reason. It felt like, for fuck's sake, something was happening. I liked how the destruction rained down on Filthtown and the many filthy bastards that were killed. And finally, last but not least, the best of the lot. I absolutely love that the terrors of Mount Doom, the evil forged within and the evil that will slowly spread out across the land, the reason behind the collapse of the Southlands, the creation of a home for evil, the very symbol of Mordor, of wanton destruction, of Mother Earth and chaos, that all of the negativity it represents, Mount Doom, would not have been created if not for the very hands of the one and only Waldraig of Filthtown. Which leads me to... First off, allow me to start with everything I just said on the good list. That's the first entry. Everything that I felt good about almost immediately fell apart. The worst thing? This group of female Amazon writers thought it'd be a good idea to make Waldraig of Filthtown the bringer of Mount Doom. Sure, it probably looked great on paper, but for those not in the know, this is going to be taken as Tolkien's prequel to The Lord of the Rings, not Amazon's filthy mess. Amazon is doing their best to ensure that this twitching, bloody abortion will be taken as Tolkien's legacy, and that's just sad. Isildur is a prick. After cleaning up horse shit for a bit, he shares a bite of his apple. Then he just chucks the half-eaten apple into the sea. Maybe the horse might have wanted to finish that? And the horse is beside the point. He just threw away food from a ship on a journey, a ship that we're led to believe houses 100 men and 100 horses. On a journey across the sea with 100 men and 100 horses, everyone must be fed. A plan is made. How long is the journey? Does everyone eat once or twice daily? Not only that, what about water? Did you ladies know that you can't drink seawater? Crazy, huh? Hey, Linda, did you know that you have to bring drinkable water on your boat as well as food? Hey, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Right, Linda? So Isildur just threw away someone's food. And how often does this little asshole do this? Did he piss in the drinking water too, Linda? Did he? This scene is frustrating.
Key to the eyes of the elves.
And yet, mine had not before seen you. Swinging steel, no flying sail.
What is this? The writers decide to pen this one section in what they must think of as Tolkien speak. It stands out and it doesn't work. Especially because they lapse back into speech whose most glaring attribute is that they don't use contractions. Well, until they do, that is. Imagine the rest of the dialogue if Galadriel just continued talking like fucking Yoda.
I thought all soldiers were to be abed.
Pardon me, Commander. I was only...
Hoping to get the first sight of land. At ease. It'll be visible to your eyes in a few moments.
Is it visible to yours already?
Has been for nearly an hour.
Keen are the eyes of the elves.
And yet, mine have not before seen you, swinging steel or flying sail. What rank is yours?
Stable sweep.
Despise not the labor which humbles the heart. Humility has saved entire kingdoms, the proud have all but led to ruin.
I did not join this expedition to be humbled, Commander.
Then join, for you did what?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Clog ears are yours, it existed. By clean, not thy, can you listen, ears not with yours.
What the fuck?
It's not Numenor. Not the real Numenor, anyway. If it ever existed.
It existed. It exists still. If only in the heart of the lowliest stable sweep.
Oh, yeah, thanks for telling me that I'm the lowliest stable sweep. The bottom, the scum of the earth. Fuck you very much, Galadriel.
His mother. What happened to her?
It is strange. Most of my life I've looked east to see the sun rise over the sea, and west to see it set over the land. We're sailing into the dawn, and yet to me, it feels like the coming of night. She drowned.
More of this dialogue. This is twice these two idiots have engaged in this style of conversation. So what's he saying? I have dark feelings about this journey. Oh yeah, and the bitch couldn't swim. The elves in this story are overly emotional. It's become very easy to forget that they are elves. So Elfie has to hide the hilt.
Where will you hide it?
No one must know.
He has, as far as time might allow, a 5 to 10 mile run in every direction. As an elf, he should be able to run there and back before the battle, and with increased speed. That's a whole hell of a lot of hiding spots. It's very convenient that of all the hiding places he could have chosen, it was right where it was needed when it was needed. In the floor of the room where everyone will be hiding. The orc's main target. Oh, this is terrible. When you have a scene like this with everyone waiting, and no one, not one person either says or does something of interest, it means the writers had no idea how to structure the scene, and the film crew had no idea how to shoot it. There's absolutely no characterization here, apart from, these are the people of Filthtown. And speaking of characterization, when people die, we don't care. Oh no, that guy just got shot up with arrows. The guy that listened to Bronwyn in the last episode? Oh no, this guy died. He gave Bronwyn a stink eye in episode 2. First of all, where did his magical elven dexterity go? And second, why does this one orc make him seem like such an incompetent pussy? You know, you can do more than just try to hold his arm back. How about maybe yanking his fist to one side or the other? Why do the orcs just seem to know that in order to control Elfie, they need to threaten Bronwyn and Theo at the same time?
Wait! Help!
Wait, was Elfie just gonna let Bronwyn die? That's an awkward conversation for later. When the Númenóreans rode in, I felt a quick elation. Finally, something was gonna happen. But it quickly fell apart as it was just another flatly shot, poorly choreographed high school level fan film. This show is disappointment on top of disappointment. All right, stop. That's it. I have just about had enough of what can only be described as Galadriel shenanigans. This is ridiculous. This desperation to show Galadriel as a badass action hero is utterly silly. Please stop this. Galadriel doesn't have to be written as Joan McClane or Clint Eastwood for you to try to push her as the show's leading man. And why in fuck would you want to write her like this in the first place? Remember when I said less is more? Think about it, Linda. And look at the loose, almost casual grip Vagisil has on his sword as he plunges the blade through leather and chainmail and into the bone of this orc's chest. He twists the blade and yanks it free, all while resting his fingers gently on the guard.
One cannot satisfy thirst by drinking seawater.
I absolutely hate how she says this as a way to control Halliburton, but never even once thinks to heed her own advice. Typical feminist hypocrisy.
Yeah, the show was announced in 2017, I think. And the first thing I thought was, oh my god, like I'm the guy for this.
Yeah, I suppose Bear McCreary's done a fine job as Hollywood's newest it boy composer. But let's face it, on this job, he's more miss than hit. The guy's got talent, and I'm not going to say he's lazy. However, this is the epitome of generic fantasy music. I just don't think he was the right guy for the job. Not a good fit. Okay, look at this. This is a 5-minute, 38-second scene comprised almost entirely of Dutch angles. This is crazy. These shots are used to set a mood, to cause a feeling of unease or anxiety. Apart from the flashback to Sauron's torture tower, almost every cut in this 5-minute, 38-second scene was shot at a canted angle. How long before the mind just accepts this as the norm and the purpose of your shot is lost? I don't know, but I did casually count. It was an unplanned, lazy count, but I lost track around 56. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of 56 cuts between characters. In 5.5 minutes. Did the filmmakers here even understand the purpose of Dutch angles? Again, Sometimes less is more. And this leaves only... The ugly can be boiled down to two segments. First is ideology. The ideology that the gals over at Amazon are attempting to force down our throats is heavy and obvious. Bronwyn becomes the de facto leader of Filth Town after beheading an orc.
Is there any of you here who want to live? We're next to the Elven Tower at first light.
She decides who eats and who doesn't.
We'll have to cut rations again.
She saves Elfie from the mega orc. When Elfie takes Bronwyn to the Queen Regent, he bows his head and dismisses himself. The two women wait for him to be gone before talking.
What I owe you. My people are alive because of you.
As I understand it, they're alive because of you.
A burden I never sought to take up.
First off, if it was a
burden I never sought to take up,
then why was she constantly sticking her nose in trying to tell everyone what to do?
A few of the finest leaders do.
The finest leaders? Okay, I can buy this. After all, Elfie did nothing. Bronwyn killed the orc. She led everyone to the old watchtower. She rallied the fighters. She trapped the orcs and felled the tower. She made the weapons. She set up the burning carts. Told the archers where to wait, where the fighters should attack from. Shit, fuck Halliburton, make her the queen. Meanwhile, we've got orcs as slaves trying to find their home. Their preferred pronoun is Uruk. And while the soldiers fight, the Queen Regent sits on her fat ass watching. And of course, Galadriel. Need I say more? And this leads to derivation. No episode so far has been more derivative than this.
Look to my coming at first light on the 5th day.
First, they set it up.
We're sailing into the dawn, and yet to me, it feels like the coming of night.
They're sailing into the dawn, sailing from west to east. And so, when they ride toward and then into Filth Town, they're riding west, riding away from the east. Wait, hold on. Didn't they sail east? Now, unless this map is upside down, the Southlands are east of Numenor. So they should be riding toward the sunrise and not away from it. Well, that's an easy fix. Yes, Elendil did say it'd be a day's ride, but don't blame me if the editing on this show sucks. Ask yourself, how did they sail in toward the rising sun, then have the rising sun at their backs?
What? You want to know how they sailed toward the rising sun, and then rode away from the rising sun into the town? Fuck you, Linda! You're fired! Pack your shit and get the fuck out! No one asks questions. Questions are racist, and homophobic, and sexist. Linda, you stupid bitch, I said get out!
Oh, they fired Linda. Not the smartest girl I met, but she was nice. I worked with her on my Horizon Forbidden West video.
At dawn, look to the east.
Ah, shut up, Gandalf. No. Amazon did it first. No. Elfie did it first.
Precious!
You're precious. No. Theo Precious. Because he did it first.
When it was in my hands, I felt powerful.
And finally, this just made me want to puke. In Westerns, this is known as the pulling the bullet scene. Someone is shot, and they bite onto something. A bullet, a stick, a belt.
Okay, and then a squeaky toy.
Huh.
For your mouth.
For the pain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, hopefully I won't need that.
Then they pull out the bullet, if there's one to pull.
Now where the devil is? In New Orleans, running a whorehouse. I was talking about the bullet. There it is.
Are you having fun?
No.
Let's get the bullet.
Okay.
Let's get in there and get it. Nice and small. Nice and small, baby.
Yeah, tiny, teeny.
That's not small. That's really big.
Then they seal the wound with one form or another of heat. Fire, gunpowder, a heated up blade.
What is that? You heard that?
What's that sound? What's that sound? Is that the bullet?
That's bone.
What?
That's not right.
I want you to cut a groove in this shaft, this arrow. Just deep enough for a good pinch of gunpowder.
Gunpowder?
Hell, in 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, Clint Eastwood is shot with an arrow.
As soon as I light the powder, you drive the arrow through me and pull it out the other side.
All of these derivative ideas haven't been included in this series because they were necessary to drive the plot. They were included because the Amazon writing team suffers from a lack of talent and originality and are driven by their ideology, part of which must be
the least amount of effort to earn a paycheck.
Exactly.
Hey, writing is hard.
For you? Obviously. Anyway, despite all I've said up till now, I'm going to do something that'll seem contrary, but actually isn't. I'm going to pay these writers their due. I have to say they've actually been extremely successful with this show. No, not successful in fucking it up. Nothing negative. They've been extremely successful in crafting a show written by women that's designed to be viewed by women. Wait, you didn't think the show was made for men? Jesus, what self-respecting man could possibly sit through this ridiculous spectacle and actually enjoy it? Now, I'm not a woman, and I can't claim to know how a woman's mind works. Though I can only imagine it looks something like this. But if women like this show, if Amazon has successfully reached its desired demographic, then I say more power to them. But in the real world, the world outside of social media mental masturbation, men and women have different sensibilities. Galadriel captures Adar. Adar.
No, wait. Adar.
Adar. The entire time she has this wrapped thing. The thing about which Elfie essentially said,
"Fuck the rider. Don't let him get away with the item."
Did you find yourself wondering why Galadriel didn't even think to ask?
What is this thing and why is it so important?
She never even looked inside. If she had, she'd have handed it to Elfie and said,
"What's so special about a hatchet?"
Because a woman's emotions control her completely, and a woman might forget to ask such an important question in the heat of the moment. Why do you think Isildur's comfortable chucking food into the ocean? Because women don't think about things like provisions on a journey at sea. These are little details, and by God, the story of a strong-willed warrior woman will not be waylaid by minutia. The most important thing on this voyage was that apple. The boat could sink and you'll still be able to float around on a piece of wood. But that one apple that this dipshit threw away could be the difference between life and death. Why do you think the battle scenes were so underwhelming and so poorly edited? It's because men put a higher value on things that women don't. I've been saying for my second video that this show is being written by a group of women. Did you think I was joking? Hey, I'm not pissing on them. As far as women writing a show designed for women, I have to say this series is a rousing success and I tip my hipster fedora to you ladies. However, that's not going to stop me from continuing to rip this show apart. I think I'm going to keep my 10-episode promise, and who knows, maybe they'll hire some men and this show will have a nice spike in quality. No, I mean actual men. Anyway, just keep this in mind. This really isn't a bad show. It's actually quite good. If you're a woman. It's just not for me. Good God, what a complete waste of time, effort, and money.
Has anybody got a dime? Somebody's got to go back and get a shitload of dime.
But it's fine. This is a girl show. All the little things like rationality, common sense, and intelligence don't apply here, and that's just fine by me. Apparently Amazon wants to spend $1 billion to neglect the source material's fans and aim for a different audience. Hey, it's not my money. But I would like to thank Amazon for handing me this gift, this spectacle, this burning wreck of a train filled with blind orphans. And hopefully next week, it's just as bad. And that was another episode of Lord of the Rings, The Rape of Tolkien. Hope you'll tune in next week, and thanks for listening.
That the last scene of the Harfoots in our show is them finding a place. Look at this lovely place. Let's call it the Shire. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's start digging holes in the ground and living in them. You know, all things being equal, there. Do credits. That would be awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Like, yes. Now we're handing the baton.